Hey everybody, this is Retro Challenge Gamer. We are back with 48 more tracks to rank on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe plus Booster Pass. We are halfway done, everybody, with this monumental tier ranking that we are doing. And as you can see, this is my previous list of what we have for the first 48 we rated. So moving back into the game, we are going to give it to Mrs. Retro Challenge Gamer to pick out our next Grand Prix Cup from the base 48. We have Mushroom, Flower, Star, Crown, Lightning Bolt, Shell. Star! We will be doing Star. Okay, Sunshine Airport, which is our first one. Which, dang, okay. I did pretty good on this one. We'll see how awesome I did.
If they actually have a place called Sunshine Airport.
I doubt it. I doubt the real world would have a Sunshine Airport somewhere.
That would be actually really cool if they had a Sunshine Airport.
So the only thing I don't really care for is that I feel like there should have been more on the ground. This track is actually the strongest when it's on the ground, as it's going through the wheels of the airplane here and then moving up through, I don't know what this is supposed to be, like some sort of, yeah, oh, I totally missed that one. Oh my gosh, what routing am I taking? But this is where it gets both cool and boring at the same time. I like the fact that it goes onto this sort of air ramp and you go anti-grav, but there's really not much else you do here, and then it takes you right back down into the airport. I feel like we should have gotten more into the airport, and I think it would have been a lot more of an exciting track as we dodge and weave, and possibly maybe even play chicken with one of the airplanes that's coming towards us as we're trying to go straight through the legs. That would have been a cool obstacle that would have been, you know, random based on the lap, but also predictable because you could see it coming. I think that would have been a much stronger obstacle part of the track that we could have done, but instead they opted for this U-turn in the air, which is, I guess, kind of neat, but overall it makes the back half of this particular track boring. It starts off very strong. I love the airport segment, and then it kind of ends kind of weak, although I do like the fact that you kind of glide over some of the airplanes though right there, so that is kind of a neat visual. Yeah, I guess it could be a strong point. You're flying like the airplanes. I just wish there was more interesting stuff to do, because this part is great. This is fantastic. And I love the fact that you can fly through, I guess that's a cargo plane, because there ain't no passenger seats in there. I just noticed that small little shortcut on the left there out in the water. Does anyone ever use that shortcut? Because I just noticed it. I didn't realize that was there before. Yeah, but I do like some of the details, like some of the islands over there on the far right. I think if I could look a little harder, I could probably recognize some key gameplay. Oh, dang! How did I ever let that slide? And I still beat the time. Wow, I would have reset nowadays. Like, this was done 2 years ago, that replay. So today I would have just reset and retried again. That was awful at the very end. Let's go to the tier ranking video here. Okay, this is a very good track. I enjoy it. I think I enjoy it more than Animal Crossing and Ice Outpost, but I think Dragon Driftway just feels like it's more of an exciting track all around. So this seems to be a good place to put it, just because the last part of the track, as I mentioned, just kind of brings it down. But the first part of the track is amazing with all of its turns as you're going through the wheels of the airplane and the crazy S-turn to go off to the launch pad that takes you up into the sky. Like, all that is freaking amazing and is kind of reminiscent of the S-turns you're getting on the Dragon Driftway. It's just that Dragon Driftway is more consistent throughout its entire runtime, whereas Sunshine Airport, as I mentioned, just kind of falls flat towards the end. And I think that's why I'm putting it below Dragon Driftway there. But it's definitely funner than the other tracks in the very good category. Back into the game. So we're going to continue on with Dolphin Shoals. Didn't make it too hot on this one. Windy beat me here. So Dolphin Shoals is one that I will admit is not one of my favorites. I don't, but well, the dolphins are fine. Dolphins are a fantastic creature. That's Mrs. Retro Challenge Gamer's favorite animal, especially because, you know, she loves marine life and things like that. But in terms of a track, see, the dolphins here are kind of cool. They're jumping through the hoops. I like that part. That's a fun part. But in terms of an overall track design, I know a lot of people seem to love this track, but I really don't. I feel it's kind of... I wouldn't say it's plain, it just feels plain as you're running through it. I think this is probably the most interesting part right here is where you're on the back of an eel. This is kind of inspired because you can trick off the tail multiple times as you're going down its thing, and then it like launches you out right here in the freaking middle of a hairpin turn. If you're not prepared for it, you're gonna go shooting off into the water off the other side, especially in 200cc Cup course, and then you're back here. A lot of it's underwater. This is your primary water track, more so than, like, say, I think Koopa Beach or something like that. But this first part, other than the jumps through the hoops, just to kind of showcase the dolphins, because the dolphins are really nowhere else in Dolphin Shoals. It's really right there at the beginning. It's just this underwater cave. If I didn't take this side shortcut there, which I think is kind of a shortcut based on the boost pads, then it's a whole bunch of pipes blowing air, and it just seems random. If you look at the overall design of that cave and where the pipes are located and placed, there's multiple ways you can go through it, but it just feels like it's all randomly designed, and it doesn't feel like it has any sort of cohesive structure to it. And it makes it feel like it was added more of like an afterthought. What? Oh, the little dolphin structure back there. I thought that's kind of neat. You could go underneath the dolphin structure. I would be probably better if we could actually go up on the dolphin structure and leap off of it. That would have been kind of cool. So I think the biggest draw from this is the eel. Going on top of the eel and tricking off of it. I think that's probably the biggest draw for this track. Otherwise, there's really nothing remarkable about it. And this particular turn right here, which has given me no end of frustration and taught me how to brake drift, because I think that's the only way you're ever going to get past it without falling into the water, is brake drifting. And then just a normal S-turn all the way to the finish. Yeah, I think I've said everything I need to say about this particular track. So how does it rate? Where's Dolphin Shoals? There it is. Well, I'd say it's average. And now we have to come down to, do I find it fun? I want to say I probably find Waluigi Pinball funner, so it definitely goes beneath that. And I think I like Daisy Cruiser better because it's a smaller, shorter track and doesn't outstay its welcome. That, and it doesn't have any crazy hairpin turns as Dolphin Shoals does at the very end, where you almost, if you didn't know it was coming, it would definitely surprise you coming right out of that cave in the leap, and you boost off of you trick off of that ramp there out of the cave, and then you're going flying off the edge. Yeah, so that definitely brings it down a notch for me. So I think towards the lower end of average is a good place to put Dolphin Shoals. Not a very strong track for the Star Cup for sure. Okay, we're going to move on to Electrodrome, which I beat handily. Wow, over 5 seconds of a better time. Let's check this. In fact, I think, you know what? I think I went back. Yeah, this is not a recording from 2 years ago. I went back. Yeah, I got a different set of tires. It's not the ancient tires. So this actually was done more recently to get a better time now that I know better how to do the game. I think I now prioritized getting coins now. So Electrodrome is a very cool music-based track, very much like Musical Parkway, where everything you drive on adds to the music, and everything, you know, the plants and the Shy Guys, they're all kind of dancing to the beat and stuff. This, visually, being in like a big dance rave is a fantastic concept to have a race in. And of course, these anti-gravity segments really give a certain dynamicism to the overall track. And then, of course, the final hurrah into the main stage at the very end. And then, of course, this little shortcut here you can take is always fun. It's very much fun. So, as a track, the layout is great. It reminds me of Dragon Driftway, but better. Because the turns aren't as sharp, and there's a lot of room to make up for any mistakes that you make on trying to drift and do turbos and everything. And then it has a split path, but they're more or less the same. The pink one goes right, the green one goes left, but they all kind of just mirror each other. And you can kind of see the players up above you, upside down, taking the other path. So that's always kind of neat. I really like that. And then, of course, the little boom, 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 boom as you're getting ready for the final turn and jump towards the end. And then this is the last section where you can jockey for final position, where you can eke out that victory right at the last second from someone who was in first. That's always a fun and satisfying feeling to have. I'm sorry, what? Yeah, the rave race. This is definitely the rave race. I love the fact that you can see almost every other part of the track from anywhere if you just kind of turn and look. Although if you turn and look, you'll probably go off the side. But it's still kind of neat that it just winds itself around the entire rave, which apparently looks like it's taking place in the middle of a city, I guess? I don't know. City stadium? It's really neat how this works out. But I very much enjoyed this track. It's a fun track all the way from start to finish. And the anti-grav just helps its case. So you would pass out? Oh yeah, yeah. Definitely a epileptic seizure fest in that particular track if it was like happening in real life. So, oh my gosh. But I would not say it's best of the best, but is definitely up there in fun factor. I would not say it's better than Mute City, but I would definitely say it's a lot more interesting and varied than Shroom Ridge as a fun track. So, very much on the high end of very good. So yeah, this particular, I'm not having many troubles placing these tracks at all. The Star Cup as a whole has been a very strong cup, with the exception of Dolphin Shoals. Like, I think all three of these are amazing tracks here. Let's go with Mount Wario, which I did not get the best time. And you'd think Wario would be the time trial ghost. Why is Waluigi the time trial ghost? But whatever. I need to go back and see if I changed the cart number down for the previous one. I'll update as I come back to the next video. But yeah, this is another checkpoint track, and this is one of the best. This is, I think, in fact, I think the best checkpoint track by far. Because you start off at the top of the mountain, leap off a cargo jet to start the race, go down the icy peaks, which is a challenge in and of itself because you got to deal with ice physics. But it gives you a nice shortcut here, which is fantastic to take, which you can just use on a simple one boost, like the lowest boost possible. And then I don't know why it took that route. That was weird. That kind of slowed me down a bit. I think that's probably why I didn't get the highest speed. I didn't beat the time trial time. But then you're done with the interior caves with the water, and then you go through this, I guess, dam sort of facility, and then of course you're riding along the side of the actual dam with the waterfalls and stuff. So that's kind of neat. Then you kind of boost through, I guess. And then you break out into like a slalom sort of race through the woods, and there's multiple pathways you can take, which of course we're taking the middle one because we have a mushroom. And you can trick off all of these. So there's always something to do, something different. It never repeats itself. It's interesting all the way through, and that was a hard hit on a tree. Oh my goodness, I would have reset. This is from 2 years ago, but today I would have just reset and tried again. And then it just breaks out into a classic Olympic ski downhill slope for the remainder, which is fantastic as it builds up towards the end, as everybody's visible. Everybody's now on the track. You see everybody. Nobody's hiding behind the trees and everything as they go through the forest. Now it's all laid out in front of you, and you're all racing to the finish at the bottom of the mountain. And of course, all these speed boosts to give you that illusion of speed, faster than F-Zero sort of thing. And the grand view out ahead of you with the Wario balloons and the end in sight. It's just a fantastic track from beginning to end. There is nothing here that overstays its welcome. It's always interesting throughout, gives you new and interesting challenges from lap to lap to lap. It never repeats itself. It's just a phenomenal track and one of the best checkpoint tracks in the entire game. So I actually have to quit the replay because it's actually doing it in the background. So where would I put Mount Wario? It's got to be in the best of the best. The question is, it trumps Hyrule Circuit. So it's up here in the top two, but I I don't know. This is very hard decision. Mount Wario is a fantastic track, just like Big Blue. Do I enjoy it more? Because Big Blue, it's... the environment changes, like the obstacles change, it's different, and I have to actually stop my alarm because the alarms are on my phone. I almost want to say Mount Wario could trump Big Blue, but if Big Blue feels like a faster, more wild track overall, I don't know. I think I'm going to have to think on it. I'll leave it in the position right now. Big Blue is the top, but my opinion might change as we go through, and we might put some more tracks in the upper portion of the whole thing. But speaking of which, I do think I'm going to have to adjust. Okay, wow, it is getting very crowded in this particular thing on the tier ranking list. I have to keep adjusting it as we add more and more rows. It's going to get insane here. It's going to be harder to see everything. All right, back to the game. So we are done with the Star Cup. That was a pretty solid cup all around with a lot of good tracks and everything. So now we're going to do the DLC courses. Now, he's gone at the moment. He's upstairs, Mini Retro Challenge Gamer, but he told me to do the Fruit Cup next. So we're going to do the Fruit Cup next, starting with Amsterdam Drift. I did not do a good time here, but this is another Mario Kart Tour track where we're going to go through Amsterdam. Now, of the tracks, this one is probably one of the more difficult ones. It's definitely got a lot of cool things going for it in terms of making it stand out from all the other tracks. Now, if I recall correctly, Amsterdam is full of, well, specifically the Netherlands is full of public transportation. So I like the fact that it starts right away with a train that you go past. Then it goes out into the fields with the classic windmills that the Netherlands is known for, and the open plains and stuff like that before it takes you back into the inner city. So that keeps the entire track interesting, where it has something new to look at instead of just more city streets. But instead of cars, you now have to deal with, trams and trolleys and things like that, which is very reminiscent of what you'd actually be taking if you're visiting, Amsterdam for real. You're not going to be driving too much on the actual roads. You'll probably have to park outside the city and kind of work your way in public transportation. Then it takes you through the rivers that run through Amsterdam, so that's kind of cool. Although I do think it stays in the river a little bit too long, because at this point, I think it's overstayed its welcome, this particular part of the track. There's too much water. It should have ended like halfway back and put you somewhere else so you can see more different parts of Amsterdam. Yeah, that shortcut's hard to take, for sure. And what's interesting here is that it takes you through the roads back, and it takes you right back into the water for some strange reason, which I already said we should be done with the water by lap 2. But it does put you out near the tulip fields, which is very beautiful, although the tulips look kind of weird in these simplified graphics, but whatever. I just wish we stayed a little bit longer and saw a little bit more. Maybe put a windmill amongst the tulip fields or something, or big block wheels of cheese like they make in Holland. Something silly and fun would have been nice. But yeah, those turns, I think out of all the Mario Kart Tour tracks, this one was probably the hardest to memorize, because there was just so many turns that came so quickly that if you don't remember or you haven't memorized the layout of the track, you'll go straight through some of those flashing arrows, and Lakitu's just going to pick you up and put you back on the course, because you're just like, oh, I didn't even realize that was a left turn. So the turns come at you fast and furious, and it takes multiple routes or multiple times through the track before you can finally start memorizing where you need to actually go and stuff. So as for a Mario Kart Tour track, though, there wasn't really too much going for it. I mean, in terms of gimmicks, I guess the trolley was nice. You kind of flew over a train. There were some Monty moles. I mean, visually it's great, but some of those hard turns just make it difficult to, especially, and the graphics make it difficult to discern where you need to go, which kind of brings down the whole experience a bit. It's definitely better than Paris Promenade, for sure. I kind of want to put it like right here, because I do find it funner than Waluigi Pinball. This is a tough one, because now I'm debating between Sherbertland or not. I'll put it behind Sherbertland right there. That seems like a good place to put it. Amsterdam Drift right there. Middle of the road, average. It's still fun for what it is, but there's a couple aspects of it that just kind of bring down the whole experience. So I think that's a good place to put it. Okay, Riverside Park for the GBA. Change this down to a 3. Race against Ghost, which I was not good by a long shot on this one. But that's okay. So this is another GBA port. And if you looked at Ribbon Road to see how crazy good that port was of a GBA track, and then you look at this. So apparently I was racing against my own Ghost, which I really didn't want. I wanted to watch my own Ghost. So we're back. A little splice ahead there. But as you can see, their port here is a little bit on the plain side. I mean, it looks pretty. I think they could have given us some more high-resolution trees and stuff like that. But in terms of just atmosphere, with a little bit of sort of a sunset sort of vibe to the whole place, I think it's nice. But in terms of revamping the track completely from its GBA roots, like they did with Ribbon Road, I honestly think they could have done a bigger job, or better job, and they could have even added some anti-grav sections, or maybe some vast hills, or something like that, or maybe kind of just riding down the waterfall at the end there, or something. Because right now, it's more of like a plain track that it's just like, oh yeah, I can tell this is from a Game Boy Advanced Mario Kart track. Whereas with Ribbon Road, unless you told me that it was a port of an old Game Boy track, I wouldn't have known. I was like, this is phenomenal. This seems like a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe original track built from the ground up. This one, it's very clear. You can tell even just by some of the rainbow blocks they put on the side of the edges past the grass there, that this is definitely a port from a very much lesser powered console kart game. So, but the track layout is nice. It's simple. It does what it needs to do. It's got predictable random enemies that you can avoid. And it's got a cool segment through a cave, which you can boost up to your ultimate ultra turbo and then just dash out across through the waterfall towards the start. So I think that's kind of neat. So it's got a couple cool ideas going for it. But where to place the park? I would say this is more of an average track. I think it's not as fun as some of the others. I would say it probably goes somewhere towards the middle of the pack here. I'm debating on Disney. Whoops. Daisy Cruiser. Do I have more fun on Daisy Cruiser or Riverside Park? That's difficult. It's almost a tie. It's really close. It's really, really close here. I think because of the more wide turns and the fact that it's a little bit easier to get up the final slope and you bust through the waterfall at the end, I think that's kind of a funner experience overall. Even though the Daisy Cruiser has more interesting gimmicks and novelty, I think it just comes down to fun at this point. And I think I have more fun on the Riverside Park, despite its simplicity, than I do over on Daisy Cruiser. Yeah, I do. I think I have more fun there. In fact, yeah, even more there, because it doesn't outstay its welcome like Waluigi Pinball does. Waluigi Pinball is a long track. You have to go through the entirety of it with no skips 3 times. This one, it's short, it's sweet, and sometimes you just need a simple track like that. So yeah, I'm going to put it above Waluigi's Pinball. Yes, that's exactly what I'm going to do. That's probably a hot take, but whatever. Alright, DK Snowboard Cross. Ooh, I remember this one on the time trial. This one was rough. Yeah. Was not going to make Fosty's time. There is a world record strat that I tried, and I could not make this. Is this a Wii? Is this a Wii one? Yes, it is a Wii. Okay, so I'll have to update the tally here in a second. Okay, so DK's Summit is very similar to DK Mountain. And we'll get to DK Mountain in a little bit, in a later video, but it's basically the same premise. You start off on a little small short section and you get barrel cannoned all the way to the top of the mountain, and then you got to work your way down a whole bunch of S-turns. It's almost the exact same premise. The only difference is the type of obstacles you're going to be encountering on the way down. Like here, you have all this crazy snow that if you hit it, you're going to slow down almost to a crawl, and it's not even worth going through it unless you have mushroom. Now, as you can see, I'm taking the S turn here because I tried to do the strat, which I'll explain on the second lap in this section, but it was insanely hard for me to do. And then I know some people who kind of hug the side there with the boost, half pipe all the way around that turn. I just can't seem to do it. Either this particular setup with the bike that I'm on just can't do that sort of crazy half pipe turn hug, or what. I just can't seem to do it with this particular kart setup. But anyway, so this part's pretty plain. I mean, it's expected. A whole bunch of snow moguls and stuff that you can trick off of and everything. That's kind of cool. But what people do right here is they go into like a slide, they boost off that, cross the gap, and then they like slide drift turn over this gap here, and then land right about here, facing this direction. So it's just like whoop, boop, bump. And I have tried to do that, and I've tried to see if I could replicate their actions and exactly what they did, and I only ever managed to make the first hop, but I can never make the second. The second, I was just like whoop, and into the pit I go. I just can't seem to do it, and so I just don't do it because I could not do it reliably. So I have to rely on other tactics through the time trial to get a good time. And that means taking this S turn. In terms of a track itself, it's very active. It keeps your attention all the way down, for sure. And I guess you're supposed to do the half pipes around this snow so you don't get slowed down by it, but that, based on other tactics and strategies that other players use, that actually slows you down. So these half pipes honestly play no role in this track at all, especially if you're trying to play competitively. Because if you're playing competitively, these people are just going to pass you by completely if you take the half pipes at this point. Unless you're at the very end, you're hugging that inside one and you know how to. Half the appeal of this particular track is gone if you're playing it any sort of competitively. If you're playing casually, fine. You know, have fun, do the half pipes, whee, you know, stuff like that, that's fine. But if you're playing for real, it loses part of its charm. It loses part of the reason why you have the half pipes and you go up the sides and you do the slalom and stuff like that. No. So I think that hurts the overall track, actually. So where's DK Summit? Okay, so unfortunately, I think I have to put it in the average section. And in terms of having fun on the track, even when I play it normally, I can never get the half pipes down very well, so I always end up just shooting. And the camera is awful when you try and use the half pipes. I don't even know what they were thinking when it comes to following your character on some of these half pipes and stuff. So the thing is do I have more fun on DK Summit than I do Riverside Park, Waluigi's Pinball, Daisy Cruiser, stuff like that? And I have to say, no, I don't. Although I do have more fun with it than I do probably Choco Mountain. So yeah, it's going to have to go right here behind New York Minute. Because I find New York Minute a more faster, more compact track with a lot more twists, turns, and a lot less frustrations in terms of trying to manage those half pipes and the camera fighting you the entire way. So it's got to go towards the bottom of the average courses. I can't put it any higher. I just don't personally have too much fun with this track. I don't mind racing on it. I just don't think it's going to be in my top picks if it comes up in the random selection roster when I play online. So it is what it is. And now finally, Yoshi's Island. This is another original for the DLC courses, and it's actually one of the best. I didn't do so hot on it, but it's still a fun track, and we're going to see how well I do. Okay, so this was a surprise that came out of nowhere for everybody in Wave 4. A lot of people were not expecting another original track, let alone one that didn't exist anywhere else, like in Mario Kart Tour. And the fact it was based on Yoshi's Island with the stilt guys and those birds and the chain shops in the background, like it's like you're going through the whole overworld map of Yoshi's Island all in a single track. A lot of people have listed that this underwater part is a little bit lackluster compared to the rest of the track, but thankfully it doesn't last long and you bust out into a cave and then into the clouds. So there's always something interesting in this track. Remember how I said that it shouldn't linger on any one section for too long before it moves you on to the next, kind of like the Animal Crossing track? Yoshi's Island does that perfectly. And I missed that stupid question block flying cloud, which opens up a red track in the sky, which gives you a more of a tighter turn leading into the final part of the track there, straight into the goal. And you want to have that red path open up, because if not, you have to take the longer track around to make it, and that could cost you the race. That could cost you first place. Because a lot of people, they manage to hit that block or that flying cloud, and they can get a tighter turn than you, and it's over. You're done. You're not getting that first place at all. And then, of course, you can see Blarg in the background. Just theming-wise, it's so much fun. This is just such a great track. There's nothing hard about it in terms of just the turns and everything, so no hairpin turns or anything like that. No crazy 90-degree S-turns and everything, although this can get a little tricky with these stilt guys. Like right here, the third lap, he's definitely in your way. But this is great. The theming is fantastic. The coins change to Yoshi coins. You're inside one of the castles. You get those birds. I mean, if you just look at everything, it's just like a whole big fan service to fans of Yoshi's Island. It's just such a great themed track. It's one of the best. And the layout, if you look at the bottom right, is great. It's varied. It's interesting. There's just nothing but praise for this track. It's got enough gimmicks from beginning to end. Hold your interest. I mean, what more could you want from a track, you know? So Yoshi's Island. It's got to be one of the best of the best. Question is, how much do I enjoy it? Oh, man. Oh, how much do I enjoy it? I think it actually retains your interest more than Hyrule Circuit. It does. There's more gimmicks. The landscapes change at a faster pace than Hyrule Circuit does. And it's themed so well. I mean, Hyrule Circuit, if you really think about it, it's themed after Zelda, true, but it has so little references to the series outside of the Deku Babas and the keys and changing rubies, or changing the coins to rubies, and then the Master Sword. But everything else almost seems like it's a stock castle town, castle, countryside, things like that, that's made to look like Zelda, but it really isn't, because you have Toads and Yoshis and Shy Guys in the stands. I'm like, come on, like put like actual Zelda characters on the side cheering you on. But this one takes the theming of its original inspiration, Yoshi's Island, and just runs away with it and takes it to its full extreme. So it's got to go above Hyrule Circuit, and it's just fun all around. One of the top 3 by far, but we'll see if anybody can trounce these top 3 moving forward. So we're over halfway done. We got quite a few more tracks left to go, like 40 more, I think. So we'll see you all in the next video, and stay retro.